Hi guys, Matt here to finish off my review of Friday the 13th, the remake. Like I said before, it had to go into two parts. I just wanted to, I had so much more to talk about, so I just ended it there, and now we're here for part two. And the first part might have seemed a little lacking. This one might seem a little more upbeat and awesome, because I'm fully rested now. So, while that might seem a little slow and like I was tired, it's because I was, and it was kind of lacking. But I had a lot to say. For once, I actually wrote some notes down here, which I got through some of these on the first bit. But I should really prepare more of my reviews like this because most of them are just improv. But anyway, let's get into Friday the 13th, the remake. Let's start off with the things that I did like about it. The funny moments in this. There are some really funny moments, both with, with the kids, the assailants, if you will, the people that are supposed to be getting murdered. When you throw pot in there, and then you throw some token black guy and token Asian guy in there, fun times are always going to be had, even without those two characters, and weed fun times probably will still be had, and funny moments, but my favorite character in this probably was the Asian guy. He was just funny as hell, but there's some even funny, and then when he dies, it's funny, the interaction between him and Jason, and but it was almost, there were some funny parts that held over that kind of went a little too campy with just like Jason being Jason. Basically this is going in my pros and my cons, the funniness of the movie, because it actually took a little bit away from it, because even when you thought it was going to be serious, and I guess it might have been trying to be serious, but it just didn't come off that way. So it wasn't serious enough, would basically be the con portion of that funniness. The Jason reboot I really did like. He is just, it adds to the scariness of him, because not only is he huge and a mongoloid, but he's fucking fast as hell. He is just catching up with these kids in like 2 seconds. And that really adds to the scariness and the coolness of it. I know that there's an eeriness, just like with zombies. I don't like the fast-running zombies. I like the slow-moving zombies. But and I like the slow-moving Jason too, where the kids are running and tripping, and somehow, even though he's just walking, he still catches up with them. But I liked how this movie went as well with the running Jason, and he was really scary in this. And I liked his intenseness. Like I said, when he swings that machete, he just swings it with all of his might, and so that's really cool. I've never really been like a purist, I guess you will, so that whatever he's wearing has to be good or whatever, and the hockey mask design has to be right on. I like the hockey mask design, and I could care less what he was wearing. He could be in overalls for all I cared. You know what I'm saying? So his clothes really don't matter to me, and his mask design really didn't matter to me either. But the mask design was pretty cool. That being said, teen sex and nudity. Of course, it's a horror movie. Of course, it's a Friday the 13th movie. So there's got to be teen sex and nudities. So there was. There's a lot of TNA. There's no like full frontal like My Bloody Valentine. And there's 2 sex scenes. So people that are going there to see that, you're going to get some of that as well. So that was all good. That was one of the things I liked as well. The jump moments. Now, I'm not trying to be big-headed here, but me being the horror veteran that I am, I can tell you when a jump moment is going to come. These audience members were not as well versed as me, and so there was a ton of jumps. It was kind of funny because it's like a wave. Like I could see all the people in front of me and to the side of me, and it's like whenever Jason would pop up, I'd be like, oh, he's getting ready to go in now, and then everyone would be like, woo, like that, and jump up a little bit, grab their seats, and then that always adds to the experience, even though you're not jumping because you know it's coming. Filmmakers try to trick you out. I can even tell when those are coming, so that's kind of jaded on me by now. So I really didn't jump at all this movie, but everyone else pretty much did. Things that I didn't like, because that list is a little bit longer, which is why I called this movie just decent. And the high kids, okay, I understand, teenagers, they're stereotypical, they want to get high and have sex all the time, and but they want to kind of a little bit overboard with the how kids just want to get high or whatever in this movie. And so there are kids out there like myself that just like the sex part and don't get high, or that don't like the sex part or the getting high part, and those are the weird ones that you need to watch out for, right? But So, I understand that, in the horror movie, you probably should have that, but it did get a little annoying. Okay, the killings. Here's the thing: there was no over the top gore. Like My Bloody Valentine 3D, which I recently saw, was totally gorier than this. Had better death scenes and everything. The death scenes in this movie are just generic. I mean, they've all happened before. It's not really breaking the mold, except for the sleeping bag scene I was referring to in the first part. But they're just generic killings in here, which was kind of lackluster. And it was like, you could have come up with something cool. And there are also some that were taken from other movies. From the other Friday the 13th series. It's kind of like a combination of the first three, because it has at the beginning the mom getting beheaded and the son Jason seeing that, and then it has the tater sack Jason, and then it has him finding the mask and putting it on, which happens basically on the first three movies, because in the second movie he was tater sack Jason, and in the third movie he actually dons his hockey mask. And there were some killings brought back, like there was an archery killing in this. Similar to the first one, and there's one where he pops through a window and grabs the person, similar to, I can't remember, it was rather part 3 or after one of those movies that something similar happens like that. So they kind of took from those movies as well. Let's talk about Jason for a second. He's kind of smart in this movie, a little too much so, I think. Apparently he's been living in the woods as a kid all this time, and so, he's not going to have the greatest intelligence, but he has the forest rigged with tripwires. They hit a tripwire, and then the rope runs into his cabin and shakes little bells, so he knows what part of the woods the people are running to. And I was like, come on, he's not gonna do that probably. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden he's an expert archer, which I guess is not really believable to me. But there's a part where he's standing on the shoreline and he's like arching bow, and and then it goes and it kills the person. And I was like, really? From that far away? Are you sure? Would Jason be able to do that? And then I guess the filmmakers kind of like to bring that point home when the kids are in Jason's cabin. It scans a shelf, and you can see that there's archery trophies there, as well as some hockey trophies, which was kind of funny to me. And I guess is supposed to explain why I would pick up a hockey mask to use, because he played hockey and had some hockey trophies. Jason's cabin that Jason's staying at has full electricity. I mean, at one point he just flips a switch and the whole camp lights up, and I'm like, apparently the camp's been closed down for that many years and still electricity is running to it. Is Jason paying for this? I'm not sure why there's electricity all of a sudden that Jason has at his fingertips. The ending, I didn't like the ending at all, really. I mean, it was okay, but it was just why? I mean, I can't really say much about it without giving it away, but it's the kids just do something stupid. Okay. Jason under the mask, without a mask or a tater sack on, I didn't like him. You only get to see him at one part for 3 seconds when he is wrestling around with a victim and it accidentally knocks off, he accidentally grabs off his tater sack, and you get to see it for about 3 seconds, and it just looks, it's mongoloid looking like the other movies, but almost, it's huge. It's almost way too big for his body, so since his tater sack got ripped off, he finds in the attic a hockey mask, and he puts it on. And then he walks over to a mirror, and he stares at himself for 15 seconds, as if to say, oh yeah, I look badass, what up? And this is going to scare the fuck out of those kids, isn't it? I'm like, come on, Jason wouldn't do that. The only reason he's wearing anything over his face is to cover up his fucking ugly mongoloid face. He's probably going to put that hockey mask on, glance at the mirror to make sure it's no part of his ugly ass face is showing, and he's going to move on. He's not going to stand there like some vain person, oh yeah. Like that hockey mask, don't you? Audience, it was good for a little bit. It was a fat woman, and she sat down, and you share the armrests, and slowly but surely her flabby arm pushed my arm off of this and took over and grossed the oh jeez. So I was just like this the whole time. Not to mention it smelled like she bathed in smoke the whole time. Before she came to the theater, she just bathed in smoke. And she was on her iPhone some of the times, and it was the glow was bothering me. And the couple talked the whole fucking movie. And it got to the point where I was almost going to say something, but I was like, you know what, alright, whatever. I'm just going to try to focus on the movie. But the people in front of me kept looking back every time they talked, and every time they started talking, I would do a loud sigh, not this again. And eventually they kind of got the drift that sitting there telling his fat lady friend, fat girlfriend, I have nothing against fat people. They're all cool. I love everybody. But he was sitting there telling her stuff that happened in the Friday the 13th series, and he was telling it all wrong. I almost leaned over and was like, no, let me learn you guys something. This is what happened in the first Friday the 13th films. So overall, I give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. It was decent, but I think it could have been better. I'll probably go see this when it hits the $5 movie. I definitely, if you're a non-horror fan or you don't care about Friday the 13th at all, I would definitely suggest a rental. Or you like horror movies, I'd suggest a rental. But if you're like a fan, I mean, I would probably go see it in the theaters if you can get it there for cheap. And if you've seen the movie already by now, comment me what you thought about it. Please. Okay, guys, this has been my review of Friday the 13th, the remake. I'll see you when I see you. Have a nice day.